Welcome to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And in this case, we're talking about a nonprofit with the mission to provide food to those who feed the hungry. We're talking about Feed America First. We're honored to be joined by their executive director, Mike Womack. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm blessed. How are you today?
Doing well. Well, we have a lot to unpack in terms of the power of what you're doing, working with more than 200 partner agencies to distribute food, leveraging the power of $1 and volunteerism and resources, so much more. But let's start with a little bit of history and some context. Give us some history for Feed America First.
Feed America First was founded in 2000, so we're 23 years old. We were founded by Mr. Tom Henry, who is still on our board of directors. He started it in Savannah, Tennessee in a pole barn, and his first customer was albino possum. And we kind of grew from there. Tom comes from the restaurant business, so he took over 30 years of experience in the restaurant business and thought, all right, how can I take this knowledge and do something bigger than me? And he started Feed America First, and here, 23 years later, we set it about feeding over 200 million pounds of food in those 23 years.
Wow. Talk about how it works, because you mentioned the background in the restaurant industry. And so when you look at making sure food isn't going to waste, and when you look at the power of, which we'll talk about too, leveraging relationships and economies of scale, volunteerism, there's a lot that goes into creating this magic of what you do. But talk about where you source the food. Let's go there first.
Yeah, that's a question we get asked all the time. And obviously, the majority of our food is donated. We don't have to purchase it. We do have to transport it, so there's a cost in transportation. However, most of it is from manufacturers that maybe have close dated stuff that they need to move, or they've overproduced things. For instance, here lately, it's been a lot of fresh produce that's been taken to distribution centers. And when it's received at a distribution center, from USDA specs, it has to hit a certain guideline on temperature. And if it's off even a degree, it gets kicked. There's nothing wrong with the product, but it gets kicked out of that system because when a distribution center takes it in, they have to see 10 days on it in a store. So if it's been off temperature-wise, that makes them be a little bit afraid of what's going to happen. So they kick it, and then these truck drivers have to move that load before they can go on to another job. So usually we get calls from them to say, hey, we've got a tractor trailer load of so we're talking 24 to 26, sometimes 30 pallets of cucumbers. Or we get really excited when it's when it's not just one item. It's several different items on that truck, but that's neither here or there. And then, of course, you have your product that comes from grocery stores and things like that have gotten to expiration date or close to expiration date, and they need to move that product. So basically, it's all either date, for the date gets closed, or just overproduction.
Touch on how that really also helps keep that out of landfills and making sure that it doesn't go to waste, that, there's an environmental impact to what you're doing too. I think that's a powerful piece of the storyline.
Yeah. I mean, for instance, 2 weeks ago, we received 3 tractor trailer loads in one day of box produce, salad, stuff like that. Prepackaged salads, and so that would have been almost 100,000 pounds of produce that day that would end up in the landfill if we hadn't rescued it. So it is a huge impact on our environment.
Touch on then the facility side, because when you talk about receiving, that amount of food, you've got to be able to store it on your end and then sort it and break it down. So, I mean, you have to have the facilities to be able to enable that. So talk about facilities on your end.
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked, because we, for the last 20 years, 22 years, we have been in a situation where we've used refrigerated trailers to host those products, whether it be cooler or freezer, either one, and it's worked really, really well. But we were limited in capacity. So to kind of give you an idea, before, if all 5 of our trailers were full, that would be around 150 pallets So that would be around 200,000 meals, let's just say. Well, we've just opened our new cooler up in our warehouse that's 8,200 square foot, and it holds 400 pallets, which means it'll hold over 800,000 meals at one time. Not to mention the freezer that is in under construction right now. You may hear it in the background in a minute. It's another 2,000 square foot. And the freezer side of it, we really haven't got to play in that world a whole lot because we might be able to do one trailer, put it in a freezer. It costs a lot of money. These trailers and refrigerated trucks are not made to hold product at that temperature consistently day after day after day after day. They're just not made to do that. So it puts a lot of wear and tear on the trailers. It's a lot of fuel that goes out. So for us to be able to have these facilities to be able to just take product right off a trailer, right off a truck, and move it straight into a cooler or freezer is huge for us because it gives us an opportunity to have better food. We can host it better, and we never say no. If someone calls and says, "Hey, can you take this product?" We say yes because we have other friends that are doing the same thing we're doing in other areas and other regions. We'll call them and say, "Hey, we've got too much. We can't handle it. Would you like some?" The good thing about these two facilities that host for us, now all this food stays in our own footprint.
Let's go ahead and talk about now the partnerships with the other agencies, because going back to the actual mission for your organization, Feed America First, provide food to those who feed the hungry. So working through partnerships, talk about then how it works. So you've got the food, you've got the facilities. Now talk about how it gets distributed.
Yes, we work with over 200 partner agencies. Most of those, 90% of those are churches. We focus on rural America. There's a lot of other partners out there that we have that focus on metro, but we focus on rural. And so, for instance, every Thursday, tomorrow we'll be in Cookeville, Tennessee. But every Thursday, we're somewhere within 250 miles of Murfreesboro, taking the food to these partners. We'll have a drop site area. We'll get all the food there. They'll drive through. We'll have it loaded up on the back of their vehicles, and then they're going to go back to their area of service and feed their families, feed their neighbors in need, because we realized there was no need to reinvent the wheel. These people were already doing a great job where they were, and they know the people. They know who needs help, and so there's no gap in relationship. So we just make sure they have better food. And then also on Wednesdays and Fridays, we also have more partners that will come to us and pick up at our warehouse that's just perishable. So through our partners, we're talking 40,000 families a month, over 160,000 individuals a month, which is, it's real easy for me to spit out numbers. But when you sit back and you think about 160,000 people, I'm a huge UT fan. I know you can't see. Usually I've got these UT pictures all over my walls, but you're almost filling Neyland Stadium twice in a month. That's just incredible to me when you just stop and think about, and we couldn't do it without our partners.
When you go back to economies of scale, as I mentioned before, too, I think when you talk about the power of a dollar and what it means to your organization, $1 can equate to 15 meals. Talk about those sort of economies of scale, opportunities to maximize resources. Talk about kind of that piece of it on the financial and the donation side.
Right. And right now, I'm not sure if I'm sure this is the same. No matter what kind of economic situation you have in your home, when you go to the grocery store now and you check out and you say it's $200 and you're looking down and there's like 4 bags and you're like, what just happened? So the buying power of the dollar is huge. So now, like you said, for the $1 is 15 meals. And also the other side of that, for every dollar that we receive, 98 cents of that dollar goes to mission. Only 2 cents of it goes to overhead. So we're really good stewards of what is given to us, what God provides for us. But it's just a reality of the world that we live in today. Everything has went up. We have people all around us that are struggling with trying to figure out, do I spend my dollar on fuel? Do I spend it on medicine? Do I spend it on food? What do I spend it on? And what little bit we can do helps them, at least takes off one of those things off the table. And so that dollar that gets donated, for instance, $20, we pay $20 to park to go to an event and not think anything about it. Well, that same $20 can provide 350 meals for someone. So it's huge.
When you think about what we're going through right now, inflation and everything that goes with that, like we're talking about, what sort of feedback are you getting from the churches, the partners, in terms of the individuals and families that they're serving? What sort of feedback are they getting? Or, is it desperate times? We need a lot more support. Is it, hey, we greatly appreciate it. You're helping us power through. What sort of feedback are you getting from them as they serve their communities?
Well, I think everyone is affected in some way. And one thing that we have seen, or I have seen for the last 12 years of doing this with Feed America First, is a lot of times the people that need it most are the most reluctant to ask for help. And so you have to really get in there with them and just encourage them. Of course, we don't deal with a lot of the individuals. We have to really counsel through our partner agencies that to remind them that it's a hand up. It's not a handout. Most people go through seasons. It's not a time that they live like this their whole life. Everyone wants to do better, and they want to have better opportunities for their kids and their grandkids. So what we're seeing more than anything is you're helping us get through this season. And I think everybody is frustrated. It's not a right or side or left side or red side or blue side. It's just the reality. It is what it is, and we've got to get through it. And so we're very thankful for our partner agencies that are out there in the midst of it to encourage people, don't give up. There's hope, and we get to be part of that hope.
What puts a smile on your face when you look at where you started? And you mentioned 23 years, obviously, in terms of, the efforts, the impact. What puts a smile on your face when you look at where you were versus where you are today and what you're building for tomorrow?
I think capacity, the need, I say it all the time. I wish we could go out of business. I wish the food pantry wasn't needed, but in reality, it will always be needed. The local church, the local, organization that's feeding hungry people will always be needed. So to know that we can make a difference, and probably the greatest thing that I see that makes me smile is to take a little. We get a lot of people that will come the first time. They really feel the call to help people, and they will call or they'll say, "How can we become partners with you?" And you kind of let them know right off the bat, look, this is going to be tougher than you think, and you're going to need a lot of help. You can't tackle this thing on your own, and you're going to need refrigeration, even if it's a refrigerator or small freezer at your church or wherever you're at, and then to watch them look for more opportunities. For instance, when we first got in a relationship with General Mills, we probably received 5 or 6 million pounds of yogurt a year from General Mills, which is a huge partner of ours, and we're so thankful for them. But when we first started getting it, a lot of our pantries were like, "Well, what am I going to do with this yogurt?" Or they only thought we could only take a half pallet. And when you're dealing with that many million pounds, we need you to take more than a half pallet. Um, but a lot of times we as people, we just think about the circle of influence we have. We don't think about going outside that circle of influence. And when you encourage a pantry to go outside that circle and they have success, or when people come around them and help them grow and they're, for instance, maybe they were bringing an old pickup truck and a trailer and they've had to cover up their refrigerated stuff with refrigerated blankets and things like that, like we require. And then someone sees what they're doing and says, "Hey, I've got an old refrigerated box truck. I want to donate." And then they show up and it may be beat up, but it works. They're so proud. And it's so rewarding to know that we've played a part. And because of that part, many more families are going to be fed. And you just love to see that success because they're proud of making a difference in their community.
I love it. So talk about how the community can help, because obviously, as we touched on, the financial donations, even obviously in-kind donations and trucks, refrigeration, like there's a lot of ways that people can play a role either through you or indirectly through the different partner agencies. But talk about how we can help Feed America First.
Well, I mean, obviously, when you're a 501c nonprofit, I mean, you're always looking, and there's so many great nonprofits out there. Unfortunately, a lot of times we're all trying to draw from the same pool, and sometimes finances just don't go far enough. And you're not in competition, but in some way that you are in competition. So, I mean, obviously, the greatest thing that someone could do is say, "You know what, we want to become a partner with Feed America First." Obviously, we love the big donations; those are fabulous. but the residual people that give month after month after month is the ones that really make a difference for us. We call them pantry providers. So someone could sign up on our website and donate, and you can set it up and do it monthly. It could be as low as $5. We've got someone that has donated $5 a month for the last 19 years. And that's incredible. And then we have some people that, that are in a different financial situation, or maybe part of a foundation. We're trying to raise $1.8 million to finish out this cooler and freezer project that could write a huge check. But the great thing about it too is not only can you give financially, you can come and be part of packing food at our warehouse. You can actually get your hands dirty and be part of it. You can help us give away at our drops. But I would say the greatest thing you can ever do for us is just absolutely pray for us and help us be accountable, obviously, to what we do. But we need that supernatural blessing. Sometimes some of the greatest things we have happen just come completely out of the blue. But we know who holds our hand, and we know who holds our future. So we just rely on that. So you can give to us financially. You could come and help. If you've got maybe a work group that wants to do a team building event, that's a good time to be part to come and see what we do. It's a lot easier for you to understand what we do if you will come to us and participate. So we welcome those volunteers to come to our facility in Murfreesboro and volunteer, because that's the best way for you to see what we do.
Last question is the easiest. Where do we go to learn more and get involved? So website, social media, where would you direct us for Feed America First?
Yeah, feedamericafirst.com will link you to all that. We are on as Feed America First. We are on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on it. You name it, we're on it, because that's what you have to do, right? But you just look up Feed America First and you'll find us. We're located right in the center of Murfreesboro on Murfreesboro Street, 319 Murfreesboro Street. Just show up and we'll put you to work.
Well, on the website again, feedamericafirst.com makes it easy. So, Mike, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day.